Leo, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Hello, Brannon. Good to be with you.
Great to have you with us, Leo. Thank you very much. We have so much to talk about tonight. I want to go right away, however, to, let's see, what do we got here? I want to go to, bring up the right window here. I want to go to this right here. I mentioned this tonight in the Worldview Report that you are so massively involved in helping and really crafting the stories for the evening. You do such a great job helping and really leading that. Not helping, leading that for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you so much for that. And tonight, you picked one of these. Olympic Games 2024, QR code, restricted areas, everything you need to know. You have run across more information about how QR codes are being tested and how this is really setting up, I believe, as you believe, the beast system. Tell our audience not only about this that we touched on in the Worldview Report tonight, but some new information you've come across as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Brannon. Everything that we see and hear about right now on the digital landscape revolves around QR codes. But there's actually something more sinister that is being worked on, and that is the tokenization, the digital radio frequency tokenization of all assets in the world. And that includes everything, human, living, and non-living assets. The globalists consider we humans just another one of their assets, right? We've heard Yuval Harari talk about the only value that human beings will have in the Great Reset when the world is fully digitized is their data. So your data about everything about you, where you went to school, where you bank, what type of websites you read, what are your political affiliations, where do you shop, what do you buy, how much do you pay for it, and where. These are all things that the globalist control freaks want to know. And they want to know it not, in terms of, oh, let's scoop up this data from last year on Brannon Howse and look at it. No, they want to get it in real time. So how do they do that? QR codes are one way, but there's an even more efficient way through these radio frequency tokenizations. Now, what do I mean by that? Your friend Rebecca Walzer has talked about tokenization a lot in the financial world, but they also want to tokenize every human being. And what that involves is if you think of a dollar bill, every one of them, every paper bill has a serial number on it. Well, as I have had the tokenization process explained to me, we will all be given a digital serial number. But the only difference is instead of it being one static number like you see on that dollar bill, which is a physical thing that you can hold in your hand, when you digitize it, that tokenized number will change, and it can change as rapidly as every 60 seconds. And so when you go up to a venue, say it's a major league ballpark or a big concert hall or the Olympics, or at some point in time, it could come all the way down to the local level, and every restaurant or every department store and grocery store will have this technology. And when you go up to the gate, it will scan you and be able to know, based on these rapidly changing serial numbers, whether you are who you say you are, okay? And when it comes to human beings, it will all go back to a biometric data, something like an eye scan or a palm scan, some human marker, some unique identifier that will be attached to your tokenized serial number. And this, I think, Brannon, has the ability to completely change the world and drive us into a true mark of the beast system.
Yeah, I am very concerned about it as well. And of course, you believe that the day is coming, as do I, that you're not going to be able to go into a store unless you can,
right.
have one of these QR codes or digital IDs.
Exactly. This same tokenization technology will be used. It can interface with artificial intelligence, so that means it's very fast and very intelligent. It can be used for CBDC payment systems. It can be used for your digital ID, which we've already discussed, your unique digital identity. It can monitor your travel, your work. It can tell them whether you've had the latest vaccine booster. This is really an all-encompassing type of technology and very incredibly sinister.
Yeah, indeed it is. Well, let's move to another topic. This is big news tonight. I don't even know if you've seen this yet, Leo. This is from the X account of Congressman Thomas Massey. He said, I just introduced, this is today, folks. I just introduced, May 16, 2024, I just introduced End the Fed. Title, Federal Reserve Board Abolition Act, H.R. 8421. Americans would be better off if the Federal Reserve did not exist. The Fed devalues our currency by monetizing the debt, causing inflation. There's the bill. Of course, we know the Federal Reserve came about in 1913, and we know that it was supposedly to stop bank failures. We've had more bank failures since the Fed was created. Stop bank runs. We've had more than those. I mean, as we go on and on, we see that maybe to hold down inflation, it's created more inflation. So the Federal Reserve, which is a group of private banks given a federal charter in December of 1913, of course, has come to dominate our system in a massively unconstitutional way. Andrew Jackson of my great state here of Tennessee did away with a central bank and said, don't ever get it again. For that, he was censured, but he was 100% right. And we have this banking cartel now that is a private corporation handling the money of the United States and putting out Federal Reserve notes and financing our debt like a gigantic credit card company, enslaving us, and then creating money in the digital frame or printing, a lot of times in printing in digital, a lot of times in borrowing. This has created massive inflation. So guys and people that have talked about getting rid of the Federal Reserve before, it hasn't always gone so well for them in their health. I wonder if Thomas Massey realizes who he's taking on when he takes on the shadowy beings behind the Federal Reserve. Your thoughts, Leo?
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way, Brannon. I would guarantee that this legislation is going nowhere, but if it should start to go somewhere and he starts to get more and more co-sponsors, that's when I think that he maybe needs to start fearing for his safety.
Yeah, indeed. Leo, we have another story I want to touch on real quick, and that is related to vaccines. I have so many windows open tonight. Let me see if I can find the next one here. This is, I think, a Japanese guy. While I look for the clip, maybe you can tell me. Let's see here. There it is. There it is. Finally found it. Japan's most senior cancer expert is now sounding the alarm on the mRNA injections. Doctors are suddenly seeing turbo cancers that were unheard of before. Now, this is back in April, but I think this is important to listen to because this is the senior cancer expert in Japan. Listen to this.
私は日本で最も年長なメディカルオンコロジストです。で、メディカルオンコロジーを日本語に訳すと腫瘍内科っていうんですが、これは私が最初にそういう名称で新たなディシプリンとして普及させ、定着させることを、キャンペーンをやっていきます。
The lower third is hiding that, Tommy. We might want to take that down so that you can read that. All right, let's try this again, Tommy. If you'll take that lower third down. Here we go.
ご質問ありがとうございます。私は日本で最も年長なメディカルオンコロジストです。で、メディカルオンコロジーを日本語に訳すと腫瘍内科っていうんですが、これは私が最初にそういう名称で新たなディシプリンとして普及させ、定着させることを、キャンペーンをやってきました。で、私は日本で初めて、京都大学に、がんのアウトペイシャントクリニックを開設したわけですし、その前に京都大学には2020年に愛知県がんセンター、前職は愛知キャンサーセンターホスピタルのセクションヘッドをしておりました、メディカルオンコロジー。で、そこで、京都大学にファーマコエピデミオロジーの講座を日本で最初に作ったわけです。で、やはり、 ターボガンと言われるタイプ。今までに医師が経験してないような非常にスピードが速い。見つかった時にはもう4期であると、進行したがんであるというケースがちらほら。
Let's stop right there. Let me stop it right there. That is interesting what he just said. By the time it is discovered, it's already in stage 4. Advanced cancer in such cases are starting to sporadically appear in consultations. So this guy is warning that the cancers are so advanced that you don't even have a chance to see the various stages. You're already at 4 when you find it. Now, I'm assuming, and I won't bore the audience anymore since you have to read transcripts, too much work on a Thursday night. What does he attribute this to, Leo?
You know, he is one of the leading oncologists in Japan. So, this is a guy that makes his living poring over transcripts and being up to date on the latest research. And so there is no way that he would come out with a bombshell statement like this unless he had the receipts. So you can count on it. A man like this would never put out an interview like that, Brannon, unless he had the receipts. He's actually seen the research. He's probably participated in some of it himself. And he's on a first name speed dial with some other authors of this research. I guarantee it.
Does he ever say that it's the COVID shot?
Yeah, that's what he is alluding to there. That was my understanding. Absolutely.
And he's talking about prostate cancer, breast cancer, cancer of the esophagus, lung cancer,
ovarian cancer.
I mean,
all of the male and female organs. Yeah, all the male and female organs. Plus, like he mentioned, lung cancer and esophagus. You're right. So there's something about that whole area where these toxic spike proteins are gathering in the tissue of your lungs, of your male or female organs, in your esophagus, and causing turbo cancers before you even are aware you have it. It's at stage 4.
Wow. Well, again, it seems like we are headed for the accomplishment of the goals or the predictions of the Deagle map that we'd have 68.5% of Americans dead by 2025.
Yeah. And I can personally think of a couple people I know personally who've had this happen to them who were jabbed. They found out
I know more than a couple. I know more than a couple.
They found out they
were dead within a year.
I know one gentleman here where I live. He actually ran for a sheriff's office in a neighboring county. He found out he had, they said it was colon cancer. He was dead within a couple of months.
Pitiful. Let's go to another topic.
I know for a fact he was jabbed.
Let's go to the people that died that I know as well. I know for a fact they were, because I begged a few of them not to get it. Let's go to the public service announcement, May 10th, 2024. Here we go. The FBI and the DHS are issuing this public service announcement to provide awareness to the public of foreign terrorist organizations or their supporters' potential targeting of the LGBTQIA+ related events and venues. Foreign terrorist organizations or supporters may seek to exploit increased gatherings associated with the upcoming June 2024 Pride Month. Do they go on to say who this? Well, there it is. In February 2023, English language ISIS messaging featured an article focused on anti-LGBTQIA+. So are we to believe now the FBI is warning about Islamists killing the LGBTQs? I mean, do you really think that's the case? I mean, that is something you should have to worry about, particularly in Islamic nations. Or is this the FBI setting up a false flag and creating narratives to exploit?
Yeah, I would lean towards the latter, Brannon. I found it very interesting. I did a word search in this document, and I saw the word, there was no, anywhere in the press release, anything related to Islam, Islamic, Muslim, Islamic State. None of those words appear in there. All they say is what? ISIS. And then they talk about foreign terrorist operations, FTOs. They do not name the enemy in that press release other than this generic ISIS, which they couldn't even say like the Islamic State, which a lot of people, will call ISIS the Islamic State. No, they strictly stuck with ISIS and foreign terrorist operatives to deliberately confuse the ignorant masses who will read this press release tomorrow in their local newspaper or online or somewhere. The word Islam or Islamic or Muslim will not show up anywhere, and so they won't know that this is who they believe is making threats against the LGBTQ community. So if we have, an attack like we did at the Pulse nightclub, we will have even less of a thread tying that to Islamic terrorism than we did, when was that, 2016 or whatever? Back then you were at least able to still name the enemy. They didn't like you to say too much about it, but you could say, that it was Islamic terrorists. Not anymore. It's just foreign terrorist operatives.
Foreign terrorist operatives. All right. Well, let me go to just a couple more before you let you go tonight, Leo. Here we go. Get Terry and Grace on the line, if you would, Thomas, so we can have them ready to go. Terry and Grace, let me know when we have them. Let's go to this one here. George Soros fueled $80 million into groups calling for big tech censorship leading up to 2024 elections. So here we go, Leo. They're really pumping out the money to try to stop people from speaking truth, right?
100%, Brannon. And one more comment about that FBI press release, if I could. I find it interesting that the government has pumped these Muslim refugees into the country for the last 25, 30 years. Now they've opened the border and letting them come in that way. But then we're supposed to be afraid that they might attack our LGBTQ communities. I mean, this is your classic Hegelian dialectic, is it not, Brannon? Create the problem.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Bring in all these foreign actors from Islamic countries that hate us and hate our culture, and then, be very afraid, especially if, you go to a LGBTQ nightclub or are in that sort of a community. So, George Soros, as far as this goes, Brannon, he's going to continue to fund the most nefarious Marxist organizations in this country. And so we should not be surprised. He is clearly not alone. We often hear about his money. He is one of the most active, but we've got people like Bill Gates, Michael Bloomberg, and countless others with money probably equivalent to Soros, but that we never hear about, who are in there funding the same things.
Now, you want to talk about election interference. What are they doing with Donald Trump's trials? What are they doing with his trial in New York? If that's not election interference, Leo, I mean, let me play a clip of Jonathan Turley, a legal analyst for Fox News. Listen to what he had to say today.
No evidence of a crime. And unless Cohen can establish in the jury's mind that the method in which he was paid back was fraudulent, where's the case?
Well, that's a good question, and it would be a novel one for the judge to raise at some point. What are we talking about here? That is, you have someone who is representing a client who comes in saying, I'm going to take care of this, and this is how I've taken care of it, and the client saying, good, we'll make sure you're covered. Why is that a crime? At the end of the day, Cohen is still discussing an arrangement that he came up with, he negotiated, and asking that his client should go to jail for doing something that he told him to do. Now, what's missing here is some notion of an intent to disguise or conceal a crime. It's not a crime to have an NDA. It's not a crime to try to get a story to go away. And in the case of Pecker, which he just referenced, Pecker said he was doing this for years before Trump ever thought of running for office, because that's what celebrities do. You had other witnesses who said, I think he did it because he really did not want to embarrass his family. He was also the host of a major television program, which has a clause in it, by the way, that you can lose the contract in scandal or controversy. So there's very likely a mix of different motives. But what you need for a crime is the intent to commit the crime. And that's what we're still light years away.
Just reading through some more coming out of the courtroom right now, Jonathan, and our own Carrie Kupek Urban noting one thing that has struck.
All right, we'll just stop. We'll just stop it right there. Now, that's very interesting because, again, this is so. In fact, the media today, if you haven't heard, Leo, is beside themselves how Donald Trump's lawyers were able to, basically dog walk Cohen on the stand. They were stunned. I mean, this is not going well for them. But you want to talk about election interference? You know, we talk about Soros and what he's trying to do. What is this? What is this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a dog and pony show to, number one, distract the American people from what's really going on. We've got Joe Biden provoking the Russians to World War III. We've got Joe Biden purposely, and I believe, destroying the economy and collapsing the dollar. We've got him opening the border and bringing in invaders from countries that hate us, men between mostly the ages of 25 and 35 who are fit and buff and ready to attack Americans potentially. They don't want us to focus on any of this. They want us to focus on the latest Stormy Daniels testimony, porn star actress, affairs with Donald Trump. It all plays well in the media, and it grabs people's attention away from what they should really be looking at.
Well, look at what Matt Gaetz said today. I think he used the term dog walking Cohen. Well, listen.
Thank you.
Well, I'm honored to be here with my colleagues from the House Freedom Caucus, where we watched Michael Cohen get dog walked through the series of lies he has told. There is literally no branch of government that Michael Cohen has not lied to. He lied to investigators. He lied to the judge who sentenced him. He lied to the United States Congress, and he committed these lies for his own benefit. And while we're talking about what we saw in that courtroom going on for people's own benefit, we would be remiss if we did not mention this corrupt judge, this judge whose own family is making six figures off of Democrat politics that continues to gaslight the country that there's some sort of crime committed by President Trump. This is a made-up crime. No other American in the country would be charged with this type of crime. It's like the Mr. Potato Head doll of crimes, where they had to stick together a bunch of things that did not belong together. Observing the jury, I could see that there was a great appreciation for the liar that Michael Cohen was, and we are not getting a fair shake in front of this judge. The prosecutors don't even have to state the basis for their objections. He's agreeing with the prosecutors without even hearing argument on these objections, and there should be evidence getting in about the depth and breadth of Michael Cohen's lies that we're not seeing entered into it. And so we're here voluntarily supporting our friend President Trump, the leader of our movement, the leader of our party, and soon again the leader of this great country. And I want to hand it over to the leader of the House Freedom Caucus, my friend Bob Good.
All right, we'll stop it right there. So getting dog walked. There you go. Tell me, Leo, in closing, what do you think is going? I love to ask the various guests this and get their response. What do you think is going to be the outcome of this fall's election?
I think, Brannon, all of these legal proceedings against Donald Trump are going to fall apart. I really do, one after the other. And in the end, it's really helping Donald Trump. Some of Donald Trump's recent vacillations on the issues would not be helping him in a normal environment. He's backtracked on the abortion issue. He refuses to stop talking about how wonderful the vaccines are, but he's still wildly popular because people are willing to forgive all of that because they see him as being persecuted by the government. There's one thing Americans don't like, and that is a weaponized, unfair, two-tier judicial system that is political in nature and, closes its eyes to the crimes of Joe Biden and his crime family, but goes after Donald Trump on these piddly things that, as the congressman said there, would not even be charged against anyone else. So that is helping.
So will Donald Trump win?
I do believe that if it's even close to a fair election, he will win. Yes. Now,
Okay,
now
but
whether
will there be a fair election?
whether
Look
he'll
at
be
this.
whether he'll be allowed to take office in January of 2025 is another story. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if that will happen.
Yeah, look at this headline. D.C. holding training sessions for non-citizens to vote. This is a brand new article out yesterday, May 15th, the Daily Signal. D.C. holding training sessions for illegals to vote. See, again, I don't think this is a guaranteed thing for Trump because it's not even a matter of the illegals voting. Just as long as they get them to register, we have had Garland Favorito and others on here saying they can then pull these voters from the rolls and vote for them. This is why people show up and say, hey, I want to vote. No, you can't. You already voted. No, I didn't vote. Well, someone voted for me then. And I think it's a machine doing it. I'm not saying it's the voting machine companies. I personally think it's the government intelligence arena manipulating a lot of this.
I couldn't agree more, Brannon. And whether it goes either way, whether Joe Biden wins in a fraudulent election, or if Donald Trump wins, but then is not allowed to take office, what's going to happen? You're still going to have vast civil uprising and potential civil war.
Yeah, I'm very concerned. Leo Holman, the website is leoholman.com, leoholman.com, also leoholman.substack.com. As always, thank you for being with us, Leo.
Thank you, Brannon. Take care.